So it goes something like this. Now, what you find over here is that they are saying that the withdrawal of the monsoon happens from Rajasthan, and the time period for the same is mid of October. And after this, there is after this there is arrival of northeast monsoon. Fine. So now what is happening is this arrival of northeast monsoon takes place, and when the arrival of northeast monsoon takes place, this denotes that your withdrawal of just a second. Okay. So the withdrawal of your southwest monsoon has happened, and now it's the time for northeast monsoons. However, India officially only counts rainfall received from June 1 to September 30. That means the rainfall period is counted from June 1 to September 30. Further, what is happening? As of September 30, India received 94% of the expected rain from the four monsoon months. This is below the forecast of 96%, but still within the error margin of IMD's forecast model. Rainfall that reaches 96% to 104% of the long-term average is considered as normal. An ongoing El Nino triggered a dry August, but this was partially compensated by more than expected rain in September. So, all in all, the reports are saying that there was more than expected rain in the month of the September, and that has compensated for the monsoon rain. Fine. Now, further moving on to page number 14. Southwest monsoon withdraws from India. Earlier this month, the IMD forecast a normal northeast monsoon from October to December, from and normal to above normal rainfall over large part of northeast India and the southern peninsula. Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and parts of Andhra Pradesh receive significant rainfall from northeast monsoon, though overall it contributes only 11% of India's annual rainfall. That means the contribution of the northeast monsoon towards India's annual rainfall is 11%. And now, what else? Previous experiences, however, suggest that there is extreme year-on-year variability. In 2015, Chennai was deluged by rain, whereas a weak northeast monsoon is declared a severe water shortage in 2019. The IMD has also reported two developing low-pressure areas, precursors to cyclones, both in the Arabian Sea as well as in Bay of Bengal, that are likely to become depressions by October 21. It is yet unclear if they will morph into something bigger. So, if you see, they are talking about the depressions that is expected to be there in the two areas. And what are those two areas? One is your Arabian Sea region, and other is the region of Bay of Bengal. Okay, fine. Moving on to the next one. The shape of climate justice is a warning India. Now, what is this? The G20 summit that was held in Delhi agreed on tripling renewable energy capacity and a voluntary doubling of the rate of energy efficiency improvement by 2030. That means two things they are talking about. That is, one is tripling the renewable energy resources, and second, they are talking about doubling of energy efficiency. Fine. However, this Delhi declaration on the climate question did not find consensus on the most contentious issue, which is the root cause of climate crisis of the phasing out of fossil fuel. Any energy transition initiative must embrace two normative ideals. Now, what is the first one? Internalizing cost requires those who emit greenhouse gases to pay the social and environmental cost. That means one thing they are targeting is that all those who are emitting greenhouse gases, they have to pay two taxes. And what are those? They have to pay the social cost. They have to pay for the social cost, and at the same time, they have to pay for the environmental cost. For all those who are emitting greenhouse gases. Next is climate justice requires compensation for those who are harmed. Now, the next one is for all those who are harmed, climate compensation is required for them. Often, those who contribute to climate change are not the ones who are affected by it. Therefore, any mitigation effort must invert this carbon injustice by making the richer countries or richer class within a country pay for the energy transition. That means the one who are the emitters are actually the richer class or the richer countries. So while they are the one who are emitting these greenhouse gases, they are required to pay for the loss. So that is what you can say is carbon injustice, because the one who are not emitting the GHGs, that is your greenhouse gases, are the one who are actually paying the price for it. So carbon injustice. Now, while these two principles are articulated at the international level, how such policies and politics affect the domestic fund do not get debated. India's stand on the matter has largely been framed through the lens of foreign policy and its approach to common but differentiated responsibilities and international negotiations, which allows developing countries in the global south to prioritize economic growth and development over climate mitigation. So, what they want to say is that your common but differentiated responsibility in international negotiations allows developing countries in global south to prioritize economic growth and development over climate mitigations. So, given the country's historically lower emission, focusing on economic growth has naturally taken precedence over climate concern. Such an approach evades concerns of climate justice within India, particularly its effect on inequality across class, caste, and regions. Now, what is inequality matrix? It is now well documented across the world that climate change and energy transition disproportionately affects the poor. So, this is what I was telling you also, that the one who are the proponents of climate injustice, you see, it is the richer one who are actually emitting more. your GHGs, and the poor one who are actually bearing the consequences for the same. Fine. The climate-induced problems and droughts have compounded the agrarian crisis and allied economic activity. Variations in rainfall, temperature, and extreme climate events directly impact agricultural productivity, and this compounding farmers' income loss. Rising temperature in ocean ecosystem has already begun squeezing fish stocks in the parts of the country, hurting fishing communities. So what you are going to see is that because of rising temperature, rising temperature in which region? In the ocean ecosystem. What is happening is this is affecting the fishing community. And all in all, what is happening is that fishing communities are hurted. That means the stocks of the fish getting depleted. While the relationship between inequality and carbon emission is complex, it is clear that addressing both environmental and socio-economic inequality simultaneously is essential for sustainable and equitable development. It is now evident that less equitable societies tend to have higher emission outputs per unit economic activity. Given its highly unequal economic structure, India is falling in trap. Global experience suggests that societal response which are necessary to address climate change, what are those such as public action and state capacity, are embedded in more unequal settings. That means the cost of carbon emissions in terms of societal impact becomes significantly higher in such context. Recognizing and mitigating the barriers that these inequality matrices pose to effective climate action is a critical step towards a more sustainable and just future. Greening development. If climate change compounds existing inequalities, India's energy transition policies, though crucial, will affect the livelihood of the poor and exacerbate existing caste, regional disparities. Now, what is indices? India's nationally determined contributions aim to ensure that 40% of the total installed power generation capacity is green energy. So this is one of the nationally determined contribution of India, that 40% of the total installed power generation capacity is clean energy. The country has pledged to achieve net zero emission by 2070. That means one of the target of the country is net zero emission by 2070. Other than this, such an ambitious target necessitates careful study of its implications. 2021, coal was the major contributor of the total energy supply in India, followed by the crude oil. That means coal was the major contributor of total energy supply in India, followed by crude. Similarly, the industrial sector was the largest consumer of energy, using more than half, that is 51% of the total final energy consumption. It was followed by transport. So, first consumption of energy was industrial sector. That is where the maximum consumption of energy happened. Next one is your transport sector. Third one is your residential sector. Fourth one is your agriculture sector. Data show that manufacturing is far more energy and carbon intensive than agriculture and services. Consequently, any increase in energy price is likely to lead to a contraction of manufacturing, which India cannot afford. Thus, just a transition entails a holistic approach that considers economic, social, and regional inequalities. While renewable energy adoption is crucial, this shift should not exacerbate existing disparities. For instance, regions that are heavily reliant on coal production face a unique set of challenges. These regions often struggle with pollution, poverty, and low quality employment. Now, transitions to renewables require a deliberate focus on protecting livelihoods, offering alternative job opportunities, ensuring vulnerable communities are not adversely affected. Now, if you see the Paris Agreement that happened in 2015, what it talked about, it took into account the imperatives of just expansion of the workforce and the creation of decent work and quality jobs per nationally defined development priorities. Many fossil fuel firms are in public sector and act as critical avenues for creating job opportunities for Dalit and lower caste in India. A shift to renewable energy can potentially halt this generational mobility. To ensure an equitable and sustainable transition, strategies must target inequality reduction and green investment simultaneously. That means they are talking about what there should be green investment. The focus should be on green investment and equitable and sustainable transition. Fine. Now, greening federalism. What is greening federalism? The authors are saying that regions heavily reliant on coal production may lose revenues and livelihood. This regional divide in economic inequality correlates with energy source divide in India. Coal is the cheapest source of energy, is located in the poorer regions in eastern and central India, while renewable energy hubs powered by wind and solar photovoltaics technology are located in relatively wealthy southern and western India. So they are talking about the term that is economic inequality with respect to the law and environment section. Now, despite the pollution it causes, the coal sector owned by the public sector mines 85% is the main source of revenue. And where is this main source of revenue coming from? Taxes, royalties, and mining fees and employment for the state government in Odisha, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh. India's energy transition strategy must pay attention to these regional inequalities, transfer funds to states dependent on coal, and carve out state-specific programs for reskilling development and local rehabilitation needs. So what is happening is, thus the green deals need to have a federal deal. And what is that federal deal? India's federal governance structure implies that sub-national governments play a significant role in addressing climate concerns. That means the author is targeting the sub-national governments, and however, their priorities can differ significantly from those of the union government. Examining sub-national responses reveals how state entities are vital in tackling the challenge of climate inequality mitigation. State governments have been found to implement policies, including those related to climate justice, climate adaptation, disaster management, laid out by union government that are often at odds with the development aspirations of the state. Now, we must delve into the integrate interaction between fiscal federalism and climate mitigation and the reason being to understand how policy alignment and cooperation can be achieved across the levels of the government. Next article is an opportunity to recast India's food system. Earlier this week, we celebrated World Food Day, but we rarely look at food as a system. So, author is talking about food as a system. No country can better understand the challenges of a food system than India, which feeds the largest population in the world. While primary goal of a food system is to ensure nutrition security for all, it can only be achieved sustainably if the producers producing the food make reasonable economic returns that are resilient over time. So, food system, the primary goal of a food system is what? Nutrition security. This resilience in turn is intricately linked with the resilience of a natural ecosystem because the largest input to agriculture, that is soil, water and climatic conditions, are all but natural resources. Appreciating this interconnectedness of nutrition security with livelihood and environmental security is essential to making our food system truly sustainable. That means the author is talking about food system comprises of what? Interconnectedness of nutritional security with livelihood and environmental security. So what is happening is you are having a nutritional security, you are having an environmental security, and all the three are linked with respect to your food system. Now this shall make your food system as sustainable. Now, on the nutrition front, India faces a double burden of malnutrition. At one end, despite making great progress over the years, sizable proportion of India's exhibit nutrient deficiencies. And in National Family Health Survey of 2019 to 2021, 35% of children are stunted, 57% of the women, and 25% of the men are anemic. At the other end, due to imbalanced diets and sedentary lifestyle, 24% of the adult women and 23% of adult men are now obese. India has been stepping up efforts to reduce malnutrition, which has included even the Prime Minister calling for a mass movement. On the production side, what is happening? Farm incomes are insufficient to meet the needs of marginal and small farmers. So this one is your nutrition fund and other one is your production fund. According to a report by Transforming Rural India Foundation, more than 68% of the marginal farmers supplement their income with non-farm activities. The Manrega and the other form of casual labor are picking up the slack, indicating a lack of skills or opportunities for income diversification. That means so as to meet what the income sufficiency, they are resorting to the opportunities for income diversification. Now, further depleting natural resources and changing climate are making food production highly vulnerable. That means climate change is making India's food production highly vulnerable. As in 2023, soil health survey almost half the cultivable land in India have become deficient in organic carbon, which is an essential indicator of soil health. Groundwater, the largest source of irrigation, is rapidly declining. In states such as Punjab, more than 75% of groundwater assessment locations are overexploited, threatening the resilience of farm income. So, what the author is saying that depleting natural resources and changing climate are making India's food production highly vulnerable. So, two things they have encountered that the food system, or you can say the India's food production, is highly vulnerable. Why? Because of two reasons. One is the climate change reason, because of climate change vulnerabilities, and the next one they are saying is depletion of natural resources. Fine. So climate change vulnerabilities are there, the depletion of natural resources are there. Now this is making your food production highly vulnerable. Fine. Other than that, as in 2023, the soil health survey almost half the cultivable land in India became deficient in organic carbon, which is an essential indicator of soil health. Groundwater is the largest source of irrigation, whereas 75% of your groundwater assessment locations are exploited. That means your groundwater acts as very important part of irrigation, and however, it is seen that 75% of your groundwater is exploited. To solve this interconnected challenges, we need a tried approach that engages all three sides of the food system: consumer, producer, and middleman. Let's start with how the consumer is going to deal with it. So first, the consumer demand need to be shifted towards healthy, sustainable diet. We need to shift to a food plate that is healthier for people and the planet. The private sector drives aspiration consumption patterns for India's billion plus population. What corporations have done to mainstream imported oats or tuna in India can be done for locally grown millets. Civil society and the health community could partner with social media influencers who can shape the healthier and sustainable consumption for millets. So now they are saying what if you want to bring change in as in what a change in the food system. So they are saying that you need to engage all the three people, that is your producer, your consumer, and your middleman. Now, what was the role as in what? For example, the first they say that everything begins with the consumer. What is the demand of the market? So, based on the demand of the market, people resort to the fooding habits. So, what they are talking about is that the consumers should shift towards a healthier and sustainable diet. Now, when the consumers are moved towards healthier and sustainable diet, what will they demand? They will demand for a nutrient enriched diet. Now, when this is happening, what is going to happen? This would change all the patterns of the corporations. And so, in that case, the corporations have to move towards sustainable consumption. Right. The next thing, what they are saying that alongside the public sector through its innumerable touch points such as public distribution system, midday meals, railway caterings, urban canteens, and public and institutional procurements can help improve what at least 70% of the Indians are consuming. That means, based on this, what is going to happen? There will be improvement as in what? As in the food which 70% of Indians are consuming. Even religious institutions can shape food choices. Now, how religious institutions can shape the food choices? For example, they are saying that Tirupati Devasthanam, which serves nearly 70,000 people daily, has started procuring naturally farmed produce. Now, second, to ensure resilient incomes, we must support farmers' transition towards remunerative and regenerative agricultural practices. So, they are also talking about remunerative and regenerative agriculture practices. The National Mission on Natural Farming is a step in this direction, but the overall funding of sustainable agriculture is less than 1% of the agricultural budget. We need to broaden and scale up such initiatives to various agroecological practices such as agroforestry, conservation agriculture, precision farming, and much more. Further, agricultural support should move from input subsidies to direct cash support to farmers per hectare of cultivation. Now, what will happen by doing so? That means changing the patterns of agriculture. They say that this is going to promote efficient supply or efficient use of inputs while enabling a level playing field for agro-agricultural practices to thrive. Agricultural research and extension services should also earmark a proportion of their respective budget to focus on sustainable agricultural practices. What else? The third thing that they have talked about is shift from farm to fork value chain. That means there should be a shift from farm to fork value chain. A critical approach to enhance rural incomes is just a minute. A critical approach to enhance rural income is to enable more value addition of agricultural practices in rural areas. Middlemen such as corporations supplying raw and processed food to consumers should prioritize direct procurement from farmers. Incentives for sustainably harvested produce and implement a well-established approach such as fair trade. Various young agri-tech enterprises such as Deebhat and Ninja Cart are enabling such farm to buyer linkages. Moreover, since all farmer families in a FPO are consumers of other farming goods, enabling trading of produce between FPOs is another way to ensure greater value share for farmers as showcased by few FPOs in Odisha. Shifting an entire food system, however, is no mean feat. Um, But the scale of challenge must not deter our ambitions. If we act fast, India has a unique opportunity to showcase to the rest of the world how to get its food system right. So the author is definitely of the opinion that shifting the entire food system is neither possible nor needed. What they are opting for is a change to bring in nutritional fine. Now this was the food system and the climate justice moving in India. Let's move on to the next one. Why SLLs also need to be reformed. The special and local laws have immense quantitative and qualitative relevance in the Indian criminal justice system, keeping them away from the ongoing reform process with respect to the Indian Penal Code and CRPC. Now, the recent tabling of the bills on criminal law has become a further celebrity. While in as much as they set overdue reforms in motion, the bill do well to amend the substantive criminal laws as codified in IPC, CRPC, and Indian Evidence Act. The offences and the procedures outlined in IPC or CRPC represent just one facet of a general criminal law, and it's vital to recognize that the most critical offence and procedures are encompassed within the special local laws. That means they are of the opinion that the most critical offences and procedures they are encompassed within SLLs. That is your special local laws. Now, keeping SLLs away from the ongoing reforming process is a major drawback. And why they are saying it's a major drawback? Because they have immense quantitative and qualitative relevance in the Indian criminal justice system. So, your SLLs, that is your special local laws, have what? They have extreme relevance, or you can say they have huge relevance in criminal justice system. To illustrate, nearly 39% of all the permissible offences are registered in 2021 were under SLS, as that is your special local laws. Um, as per the crime in India statistics, that is of 2021, total of nearly 61 lakh of cognizable offence registered and 24 lakh of offences were registered under SLLs alone. So on the qualitative side, SLLs have given rise to several fundamental and pertinent debates. Debates, discourses, and discussions regarding the limits on the state's power of criminalization, especially in the context of violation of individual rights and liberties. Now, what are the need for reforms in SLLs? The substantive issue in in SLLs are not only abundant but also varied. On the one hand, SLLs such such as UAPA and Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Act 1990 suffer from glaringly deficient, ambiguous, vague definitions of offences and terms such as terrorist act, unlawful activities, organized crime syndicate, etc. The Protection of the Children from Sexual Offence Act, that is POCSO, is increasingly being criticized for its applicability to sexual activity between the minors. That means the POCSO Act is being criticized for the consent that being provided by the minor. And concerns have been raised regarding criminalization of such conduct through SLLs, which would otherwise fall squarely within the domains of civil wrongs or at best regulatory wrongs. To illustrate the Supreme Court in the case of P. Mohan Raj versus Shah Brothers Ispat Limited, and there they said what? Refer to section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881 as a civil sheep in a criminal's wolf. That means SLLs are referred as civil sheep. They are carrying what? Criminals. Procedurally, too, it is through SLLs that universally accepted due process values are increasingly being diluted. Increased power of search and seizure under Section 43A of the UAP and the accessibility of the confession recorded by the police officer under Section 18 of the Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Acts are prime examples. Now, what they are saying is that procedurally, too, that it is through the SLS that universally accepted due process values are increasingly being diluted. Stringent provisions provided for under Section 43D5 of UAPA, Section 37 of Narcotics, Drug and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985 and Section 45 of Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 makes the grant of bail a mere possibility. That means for all the offences that have been conducted under Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Narcotics, Drug and Psychotropic Substances Act, then you have the UAPA. So what is happening is that here the grant of bail is just impossible. As an encompassing legal code between the enactment of IPC in 1860 and today, having a major shift in the canvas of criminal laws. The increasing enactments and the application of the SLLs represent an understanding of criminal law which is out of synchronous with the original project of codification. Now, what does that mean? The shift in this sense represents a major move from idea of complete codification of all criminal laws that are inspired by the Bentham's idea of pandemonium. So, what is the Bentham's idea of pandemonium? And what is the Bentham's idea of pandemonium? An all-comprehensive collection of rules codified in a single place. The IPC was just conceived to be more than just a legal digest. It was meant to contain within its pages all criminal laws of that time. So, at the time of its drafting, it was expected predicted that IPC would be suitably amended in situations requiring the creation of new offence, clarification of existing offences, removal of inconsistencies. It is true that IPC today is criticized for the retention of an archaic morality as well as the local, as well as the colonial roots, which undermines many of its offences. The challenge to homosexuality under Navdev Grover versus Union of India case. Um, this is homosexuality. When you have sedition, Bonkare versus Union of India case are all symbolic to the need of reform several aspects of a criminal reform. Nonetheless, it is hard to argue that as far as the idea of codification is concerned, the penal experiment in the form of IPC and CRPC have been very unsuccessful. Sorry. A successive government places increasing reliance on SLLs, that is your special local laws. For a variety of reasons, it becomes imperative at the same time should not be allowed to overpower the idea of codification of penal laws as imbibed in the IPC as well as the CRPC. All SLLs, that is your special local laws, which seek to criminalize a conduct should find a place as separate chapters within the large structure of the penal code. So all your special local laws which create a special procedure for reporting of offence, arrest, investigation, prosecution, trial and bail must be included either as special procedures or a separate procedure within the CRPC or as an exception to general provisions. Now, non-inclusion of the substantive and the procedural aspects of SLLs. What is that? It is imperative, therefore, that a second generation of reforms be brought in order to address the lacuna. So, all in all, what is the issue that has been there in the article? That SLL laws that have been there. What is happening is there is a non-inclusion and substantive procedural aspects of SLL is a serious limitation. Right? Now this was regarding SLLs. This is important with respect to your geography section and your disaster management section. Why are earthquakes frequent in Afghanistan? So, you should know how do earthquake occurs, why do frequent earthquakes are occurring in Afghanistan, and is this the first time that this is happening? An earthquake of magnitude 6.3 struck western Afghanistan on October 15, a Bellevue place. After multiple earthquakes of similar strength has killed at least thousands of people in Herat province. Multiple earthquakes have destroyed entire villages in the country. Afghanistan's Taliban-run government has put out conflicting numbers on the death toll. So this is why you should know about this is a question. Afghanistan has faced widespread destruction from intense earthquakes over the years. In 2015, a major earthquake that struck in the country's northeast killed over this much people. So then you should know about why do or how do earthquakes occur. So if you know there is a tectonic movement of the plates, based on which your earthquake occurs. Why do frequent earthquakes are occurring? So Afghanistan is located over multiple fault lines in the region where Indian and Eurasian tectonic plate meets. So if you see, this is your Indian plate, and then this is your Eurasian plate. So if both the plates are meeting, and what are these plates? These are tectonic plates. Now, when these plates are meeting, what is happening is this is leading to what? Formation of earthquake. Afghanistan is located on the Eurasian plate. That means this is your Eurasian plate, and this is your Indian plate. Today, Western Afghanistan, the Arabian Plate subducts northward under Eurasia, and towards eastern Afghanistan in the Indian Plate does the same. In southern Afghanistan, the Arabian and Indian plates adjoin and both subduct northward under the Eurasian Plate. The Hindu Kush mountain range and the Pami Knot are geologically complex region where tectonic plates move. That means, all in all, the reason of the earthquake is your tectonic plate movement. There is a tectonic stress. Okay. So this much was for today. Thank you so much.